Smoker Wedmark.
Outdoor scale modeling here. Coming at you with a review this time. Been a while since I did a review. Last review I did was the Border Models 35th scale BF109 G6. Beautiful little kit. Check it out. It's on the channel. I've been anticipating this one for a while. I'm a bit of a fan of Army helicopters specifically. I served in the Army, so kind of partial to that stuff. I didn't work in aviation, but I've always had an interest, and specifically special operations helicopter. I've got the Kitty Hawk kit of the MH-60L, but this is in 48 scale, the gentleman's scale, if you will. And I've looked forward to this for quite a while. Was released not too long ago, maybe a few months ago. I think they're on the A model, and they've got another one out. I think it's Operation Gothic Serpent, which is the operation in Somalia, I believe. Black Hawk Down is what everybody knows it as. But this is just a run-of-the-mill MH-60L. Flies with the 160th SOAR out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The Army's premier special operations helicopter unit. These are kind of their workhorses, if you will. I know they fly Little Birds, and then they fly the MH-47 G and E. They might have retired the G's. I think they're on to the E model now. MH-60 was, I believe, developed specifically for 160th many years ago, and I believe they started with the K variant. And for the longest time, in 48 scale, all we had, in any scale, was the I think Academy did Minicraft many years ago, did an MH-60K, which is the early 160th variant, and then I don't think they ever did an L. Italeri, however you want to say it, that Italian company, they did a K. I've built that kit. It's okay. Like most helicopters, you have the issue with the front windscreen. If you've ever tried to glue this area, where's it at? Up in here, it's a pain in the you-know-what. I haven't opened this. I'm kind of hoping ICM engineered it a little bit friendlier to the modeler. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did it like everybody else. I don't know. But we'll find out together. Without further ado, let's go ahead and open the box and take a look. All right, here we are at the bench, and we're going to take a look at the ICM MH-60L Black Hawk. The one thing when this came in the mail that surprised me was the size of the box. If you remember the old Italeri 48 scale Black Hawks and variants, were in a much smaller box. So I'm kind of wondering what that's all about. It's nice size, nice sturdiness. The artwork is really nice, man. ICM over the years, I mean, I remember the old ICM kits, and it just, well, I don't want to offend any ICM artists, but we've come a long way. These are beautiful. nice photo of a Black Hawk flying through the desert. Um, it's really detailed. So like I said, it's um, pretty nice little image. Um, let's see. So on the side here, got a few little information for the kit. Kit number 48360, in case you want to find it. On the side here, mine's got a tear in it. Got your 3 decal options. 160th SOAR. It's the Super 6.2. And then you got 160th SOAR 2012. This other one was Panamax 2011, which I believe is a exercise they do down in Panama, involving a lot of special operations forces. And then you've got a misspelled Tennessee, 160th SOAR Tennessee 2007. I'm thinking that's misspelled. I've never heard of a Tennessee, but maybe someone can explain that in the comments. On the side, same image. But like I said, this is a nice box. I mean, ICM's really come a long ways on their kit design and box design. So anyways, we'll go ahead and open it up, see what we got. I've already cut the tape. And it's still a problem. Alright, box doesn't want to come up. And there we go. Set that to the side. In typical ICM fashion, you get this kind of gift box type of packaging, which I like. It gives the box more sturdiness, more structure, so it doesn't get the you-know-what beat out of it. Fold type opening. And here we have all the kit parts. So you get a single bag, which is pretty nice, but we'll go ahead and pull everything out. Set the box to the side. Close that up. Alright, we'll start with the instructions, whatever this other booklet is. Alright, you get a advert for their acrylic paints. I've never even seen ICM's paints, so I can't be the judge of that. However, it's acrylic, and being in North Texas in the summer with the humidity, acrylics are just off the table for me, so I probably won't ever be reviewing those. I painted with acrylics for many years and just fought with temperature and too much condensation in the air, not enough. It's just too much of a headache. Lacquers are far more simple. So anyways, enough waffling. Let's look at the instruction book. Get a nice little description here of the MH-60L, and it basically talks about Army contracts and how the Black Hawk came about, and then how the 160th SOAR comes into the picture. Got your color callouts here. It looks to be all ICM related products. Again, I'm not familiar with any other paints, so I won't be able to attest to any of that. As we open it up, you get your sprue callouts. Nice little wax paper in there. Basically, this helps you identify if you're missing anything, or I find these are really helpful if you're reselling or buying a resold item. You can always, if something's missing from the sprue, this can help you identify what it is. And then maybe contact customer service and you can get a hold of them and they can tell you how to go about getting what you need. There's decals, and we'll take a look at those later. I already see something on the decals I don't care for, but it's probably just because I'm a little bit of a stickler on this subject matter. All right, so it's got you starting in the cockpit. Go ahead and putting that joystick together, get your control panel together, seats, and putting it all onto the floor. This is pretty basic for a helicopter. You pretty much build the interior out, and then wrapping it all up with the main fuselage, basically hugging all the interior parts. A little bit different than a plane, but if you know how to go about it, it's not too much of a problem. I see here that you're building in the interior fuselage, which is a nice little touch. I know on the Italeri kits, they're really very sparse sidewall of the fuselage. Really it left a lot to the imagination, and I mean, if you wanted to scratch build something like that, it's going to be a little bit of work. But as you see here, they actually include that, and you can build out that so it doesn't look so plain Jane inside the fuselage. That's a nice touch. I'm already seeing something I like, and that's a huge step above the old Italeri kit. Now, if you're going to close up the fuselage like on the Italeri kit, that's obviously not going to bother you as much. But I tend to like, especially on these special operations copters, I like the doors off. I like the doors open. They do remove the pilot's doors quite often. And it's all about weight management. They try to remove as much weight off the helicopter as possible, so they can put 10, 12 pipe hitters or special operations guys in there. You got their canines and all the equipment, the gear that comes in with breaching doors and all that good stuff. Anyways, I'm happy to see that, and that's a big step above the old kit. So it's got you going ahead and putting those those interior walls in there. Again, I really like that. Looks like you're going to be putting some details on the roof, and some of these details I think are to attach fast rope housings, which is something I would really like to do. Now, one thing I see that they've got you doing here, you're putting all these seats in. The MH-60L actually very rarely runs in this configuration from what I've found. This is your conventional troop carrier where you've got all these seats. When I go to build this, I probably won't do any of this. In fact, if you look at a lot of MH-60Ls, they have an internal fuel tank that they can add that will actually give them more fuel range. And so I'll probably be scratch building one of those. It's a very simple fuel cell that sits in the back. But a lot of these seats you'll see gone, and a lot of the operators will just sit in the floor, and that way they can pile in a lot more guys in there, because all these seats take up a lot of weight, and when you're doing a deep insertion and having to refuel, every ounce matters. So that's something I think is probably not 100% accurate, but they're probably just doing that as a catch-all for just Black Hawk interiors. They could put a little more detail into that and include the fuel cell and other things, but it is what it is. That's not a big thing to me, but it's not accurate to the MH-60L. So that's a black mark, but nothing serious. I mean, it's still going to be a good looking model, I believe. All right, so they've got you moving on to the fuselage halves. It looks like you're continuing to put more pieces into the fuselage, getting ready to join them, and then you're going to start putting the engine together and the rotor the base of the rotor assembly. So let's see, you've got the rear rotor that you're starting to put together, the other fuselage half, and then you're going to start putting the landing gear together, the front main gear. You're also going to put the rear gear together here, and then you're going to join the two halves. Looks like it's a dual half and then a bottom fuselage piece. I can't remember. It's been a while since I built the Italeri one, but I can't remember if it. I think it does the same thing. I think the bottom, there's a piece that comes up. You join the two halves, and then there's a piece in the bottom that comes up. That can cause some issues. That kind of design. It's very imperative that you get all these lines joined up, because that's what gives the Black Hog its kind of rounded fuselage shape on the bottom. But if you're careful and the parts have been engineered good, it shouldn't be too bad. It's got you drilling some holes here for certain things. I guess that's probably antennas or sensors. Let's see. So it's got you putting a FLIR pod together. The MH-60 has a FLIR at the front of the nose. And it's got you putting that bottom fuselage piece on. And now you're going to put the tail together. And all these sensors are going to start going onto the nose. The nose is a separate piece that you'll put on. The doors. Like I said, I have seen MH-60s lots of times without the pilot's doors, so I guess that'll be your call whether or not you add them or not. I may do mine off, not sure yet. Depends on what I'm trying to depict. Now you're going to go ahead and put that front windscreen on, and I've heard Phil Flory complain about this, and I have to agree. You know, companies will have the front windscreen meet the fuselage, and that's where you glue, and it's very frustrating because you only got really one shot to get that aligned properly. I wish that they would make a separate like plastic piece to kind of join the two together. So you know, I don't care for that, but that's the way it's always been done. So nobody's feels like nobody's really thought of the modeler in that respect, because to an engineer, you know, this makes sense, but if you're a modeler, you know that's a problem. So you got the rear engine exhaust housings going together, rolling through. It looks like the top part of the fuselage is going to cover up part of your engine, and go ahead and putting that on, and your engine covers. Surprised to not see any engine detail. I figured the aftermarket folks will probably take care of that. But in this day and age of, you know, we've kind of been spoiled with so many companies like Magic Factory, and companies just really, I mean, even Trumpeter has been doing this for a while, showing engine detail, you know, on a run-of-the-mill kit. You'd think you'd start to see stuff like that, but it's not a big thing to me. I don't often show exposed panels anyways. But so it's got you continuing through just various bits and pieces to get it all buttoned up, cover everything up. Again, you're still covering up the exhaust housings. Now you're going to work on the doors, start putting clear parts together. So putting the doors on, now you're going to go to the fuel probe. The MH-60L has that really long probe for extended fuel missions, and you know, it can do aerial refueling via different types of airframes. See, you've got very bits and pieces going together still. Looks like you're putting your fuselage together. And I want to say, guys, I apologize so much for saying so much. I am working on that. Trust me. You know, if you know, you know. It's just one of those things. It's part of my nature, and it's hard to retrain yourself on these things. But I will get it. I will get it. All right, you're going to put the miniguns together. See, there I go again. You're going to put the miniguns together. Get those all sorted out. I don't know. It's just like my brain just goes there. But anyways, miniguns going together, and all your various antennas, your windshield wipers, your crane, various antennas. Now you're going to work on your rotor housing. Let's see. And now you're going to put it all together and get it all sorted out. Now this is interesting. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, this is a mask template. That's nice. I wish they would have come with the mask. That's another kind of one of those things. This kit, guys, is in the $80, $90 range. You know, for a 48 scale helicopter in 2025, you know, I kind of expect you to throw in a few little extra things. So I would put that out to ICM. You know, guys, I mean, I appreciate the template, but, you know, it wouldn't take much to include a mask. That's just one gripe I have, but you know, you can't get everything. Now you've got your decal callouts, lots of stencils on this bird. I probably won't put every bit of the stencils on, but you know, it's cool that they've got it. And there's for the last one, and there you go. So that's the instructions. Now, let's go ahead and open up the kit. That typical gray ICM plastic. Kind of put everything in this big bag. Clear parts, we'll keep those over there. Alright. Start with the fuselage. That's what everybody's here to see, right? Alright, so having built the Italeri kit, I can tell you that this is quite a bit better. The rivet detail is very satisfying. A little bit of engraving in there for different panels. And I will say this is a big step ahead of the Italeri kit. I mean, it's, you know, this is probably where a lot of that $90 went, and just the injection molding on this. The detail is pretty nice. There's the other side. Get that camera to catch it. There's that bottom fuselage piece I was talking about that kind of goes in there. Overall, pretty nice detail. And like I said, I know for a fact it's a step ahead of the Italeri kit. But let's see what else we got. See, part of the blade came off. It's nice that there's some separate detail for the I don't know, there's a material that meets up with the composite on rotor blades, and I don't know what it's made out of. Maybe some kind of stainless steel, or I doubt it's aluminum. All right, looking at the top half of the fuselage, the doors, and the floor. The floor and the roof. The floor, quite a bit of detail for all the hook panels. Not sure what you would call those, but it's where you can hook in different things, where your seats would go. It's the inside of a Blackhawk's very modular. It's designed to be able to carry out various tasks. So this is pretty well represented here. You can get a good look at that detail. There's the roof. A lot of detail there. Seeing pretty good detail overall throughout. I'm enjoying it. You know, it's going to take to paint really well, especially in that dark drab, almost black color. It's hard to make a black model look alive, and you know, uh, with all this detail, it's not too much, but with all this detail, you know, it needs to be a bit heavy, especially on a black model. So I think it'll look good under paint. Surely look good under primer. All right, so you've got a couple of the same. I've got some pieces floating around. These are all rotor blades. All right, we've got the miniguns on here, as well as some of the seat parts, the machine gun, the minigun ammo cans. The miniguns look really good. I'm actually very impressed with them. The Italeri miniguns were pretty rough. I actually had to detail them quite a bit when I did an MH-60K, and these are a lot more impressive. Take a look. Oh, come on, camera. It's hard to tell. All the molding on the small stuff looks pretty good. So you've got your tail wheel. These are basically all the seat frames. And all these are pretty much the same. Just duplicate parts. And here's the last main parts. Let's see, we've got our tire, back end of the tires here, our control panels. Control panels are pretty detailed. I'm probably going to get the Quinta set on this and spruce up that interior a little bit. I've seen that it's out now, so probably will pick that up eventually. Here's the rotor head and base plate tires. Not bad, not bad. Lots of detail, and it's not overwhelming. There's not. I was afraid that they were going to over-engineer this thing and make a bunch of parts for it. You know, 20 different parts, kind of like I bought the Tacom MH-60L longbow not too long ago, and opening that thing is just overwhelming. It's too much, and I don't know that I'll ever build that. But this is much more my speed. I don't like kits that just drag on forever. I do have a day job, and I can't afford to dedicate months on end to one model. I don't want to do that. I'll lose interest. Every once in a while, I'll go all out on something, but for the most part, I just want something that I can knock out, put it on my shelf, and then move on to the next. So, taking a look at the decals. Now, something I've noticed, and it's only because I've seen a few of the aircraft in person, and I've also got a lot of reference on this particular helicopter. I believe that the green that they've printed these in is actually a little bit too dark. I don't know how this is going to look in the actual drab, the black drab that these helicopters are painted in. I've got some of the old Cobra company. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that company. It's a company that I believe went out of business. They used to do a lot of resin cockpits for helicopters, and they used to specialize in like a lot of modern helicopter stuff. They did some aircraft stuff too. Really good stuff. I don't know. I think the guy was from the States, but he went out of business many years ago. But I've actually got one of their 160th SOAR decal sheets, and it's basically a sheet that replaces all these stencils in 35th, 72nd, and 48th scale. And they're a lot lighter. I compare them to that, and they're a lot lighter than what ICM's provided here. And so I will probably be using those instead of the stencils on this sheet. But we'll see. These may look different once they're put on. I might test some of them on something. But anyways, you get a good little selection. But you can see what I mean. They're kind of dark. And if you've ever go look at photos of the 160th birds, they all they're all the stencils are all in a lighter drab, and so that's the only complaint I have. Otherwise, I mean they're neat looking, and I think they'll be useful to anyone. It's only I'm only pointing that out because I'm familiar with this aircraft. So if it wouldn't bother you, then I wouldn't even bother looking for anything else. If it does bother you, I have a lot of those Cobra Company decals, so message me. And if you're in the continental U.S., I'll put you some in the mail, and you can do your own. So, again, that's my only complaint. Otherwise, they look to be in good register. I don't see anything out of whack, so they're printed nice. And I'm sure they'll lay down real good. So, but anyways, that's that. That's the MH-60L, and we'll give you a minute, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Well, guys, what can I say? It's the ICM MH-60L, and I'm pleasantly surprised. We needed another 48 scale helicopter needed another 48 scale Blackhawk, and specifically for me, the MH-60L. That's the one I was most interested in. I'm glad they did it first. I mean, ICM must be listening to me for brainwave length or something, because this is the one I would have done first, and mainly because I feel like it's going to be a good moneymaker for them. But we were in dire need for a new line of Blackhawks, and I'm glad that they're going to just start releasing all of them. I wouldn't mind seeing another Seahawk. We need new Seahawks. The Italeri Seahawks go for stupid money on eBay because they're so hard to find. We need some. I can't wait for them to do the Air Force Special Operations one, the PAVHawk, MH-60G. So we need a whole new line of Blackhawks, and ICM is providing that to us. And they haven't let us down. I'm really happy with it. There's really not a lot I can say. There's a few things I would have done different, especially at the price point. I don't know what it's costing where you're at, but for me, this ran about $89, and it's I bought from a vendor that's not too far from where I live, so shipping wasn't that bad. And $89 for a 48 scale helicopter, that's that's really pushing it for me. And I really wish the price point was a little bit lower, especially for what you get. They could have thrown in some at least mast set, or photo etch seat belts or something. ICM. I mean, you really don't get any extra details. So that is a complaint. But if you can get past that, and there's a variant that you really want to do, like for me it was this one. I'll probably more than likely get the Pave Hawk when they get around to it. I'm also interested in getting the Coast Guard version, which I'm sure they'll do. I'm sure they're going to milk this airframe for as much as they can. Why wouldn't they? And ICM has been known to do that with most of their kits. That's only a smart business perspective, So I'm happy with it overall. The detail looks good. I think I haven't read any build reviews on it yet, and it probably is a little bit lower on my list. I've got a few other projects I want to do. I want to do some armor this year, and maybe even a ship. Try to give some variation to the channel, but I will eventually do this. And I did my MH-60K sometime last year, so I'm not really excited to jump into another Blackhawk. But overall, if you like the subject, you really can't go wrong with this. I would say if you're on a budget, the Italeri kit is still formidable. It's not bad. It's just going to give you a little bit of a headache in some areas. And, it's showing its age. There's not really a lot of interior on it. And, but it lends itself to a nice model of the subject, if that's all you're looking for. And, this is definitely an upgrade of that. And I'm happy with it. I'm happy that I purchased it because I definitely want to build it. But overall, key takeaway things, I think ICM could have added something. The price is a little high, but you are getting a new engineered quality kit. So I'm hoping the build is good. And it's just cool. Everything Special Forces is cool, right? So, what are you going to do? I know I'm going to build it, and I'm happy with it. So that's your 48 scale ICM MH-60L. And until next time, thanks for watching Outdoor Scale Models.
Smoker Wedding Models.